Hi everyone, I'm Ke Wu and I'm now to introduce my data science project, which is analysis of human daily manipulation dataset. This project aims to explore a feasible and effective method to learn data of human daily interactions with the environment, so that they can be used for some robotic technology in some way. The long short-term memory model is used in this project, which is a kind of RNN model. It can solve the gradient vanishing problem in RNN by introducing a gating mechanism that allows networks to make truly effective use of the long-range temporal information. In this figure, the three gates are outlined in red, which is forget gate, input gate, and output gate, and the three green boxes represent the cells at times. Here we use forget gate to determine if there is any information in the current state that needs to be forgotten, and use the input gate to calculate which current messages need to be saved. And by using these two gates together, a current cell state can be calculated. And the output gate is used to calculate what information needs to be output. In the implementation part, the first is data introduction. Our dataset includes 30 counts of motions that humans perform frequently in everyday life, and each motion included several subjects and trials. The dataset uses the Page's motion capture system to collect 3D PO data, including position and orientation information. The Mini-40 FT sensors was also used to collect FT data, including force and torque information. And there are two counts of formats of the data of the PO and FT for only one sensor and two sensors. Based on the PO data, I just created a new data, which is velocity data, and it was divided into two parts, translational part and angular part, based on the position and orientation part. In data visualization, first I just visualize the position data of PO by Python. Here we can see the trajectory of the motions. And then for the orientation information in the PO data, MATLAB was used to visualize the trajectory and the direction of the object's movement over time by using a model, aircraft, and arrows instead of the sensor's object. The state of the FT and velocity data over time was visualized in Python. It can be seen that it is really difficult to find any patterns in this, so I just started to process our data and then train this data on our LSTM model. In data process, the first thing I have done is to label the data with the types of the motions, and then change the label to one-hot encoding. And by counting the length of the FT and PO and the velocity sequences, I choose 15,000 to be the length of all of the FT data and 1,000 for PO and velocity sequences, and then align all these sequences. The last thing is to split the data into train, validation, and test set. Next is to train LSTM on our dataset. The first step is to define a network. Here I use a 4-layers network. The first one is LSTM layer, where the number of memory cells is set to be 100, and the input shape is the combination of the sequence length and the number of features. Two hidden layers is added after the LSTM layer. One is the dropout layer, which is to reduce overfitting, and the other one is a full connected layer, and the ReLU function was chosen as the activation function for this layer. Finally, a full connected layer is used as the output layer. And since the problem in this project is a multi-classification problem, the output of this layer is a 30-dimensional classification vector with a softmax activation function. All three types of data in this project are trained using the model defined here. The next is to compare the model. For the multi-class classification task in this project, Adam optimizer was used and categorical cross-entropy was used as the loss function. And then I just feed the model to the training dataset. Because neural networks are not stable, they will produce different models even when training the same model configuration on the same data. Therefore, we cannot judge the model from a single evaluation. In this project, the evaluation of model will first be repeated 10 times, and then the mean accuracy of the model will be calculated, and the results are shown in this table. Comparing these results, it can be obtained that the PO data has better training results on this model and can achieve about the accuracy of 76% by setting the epochs to be 15. After an initial evaluation of the model, the number of epochs was increased and loss curves for the training and validation sets were plotted. As can be seen in these figures, the PO data fit the model well and achieved a classification accuracy of 90% on the test set after 100 epochs of training. The loss curves for FT and velocity data were always oscillating, and the classification accuracy on the dataset after 200 epochs of training was not very high, at about 41% and 11% respectively. Therefore, selecting the PO data to classify the motions by using the LSTM model can achieve a better result. In our future work, it can be considered that for those longer sequences such as FT sequences, we can add the complexity of the model by increasing the number of network layers or replacing the model with another deep learning model. And moreover, in this project, due to the problem of the non-uniform time steps for FT and PO data, separate training of different data was used for analysis. So in our future work, an attempt will be made to unify these timestamps for these two types of data and velocity data, and to combine these three types of data as an 18-dimensional multi-feature time series data for classification, so that we can improve our accuracy in some way. This is my project, and thank you for listening.